foreign. So, as I was saying, we were discussing in the last class about the buying and selling of foreign exchange, the depreciation, the appreciation. We were discussing about the bid and the ask rates. Now, today, and we also started with foreign exchange risk management, and we said that there are three areas in which we have to manage the foreign exchange risk. We talked about the transaction exposure, we talked about translation exposure, and we talked about economic exposure. I told you that translation exposure is when in case of a multinational organization, if it has got various subsidiaries, in that situation, when it translates its books of accounts at the end of the year for the purpose of consolidation, the books of accounts have to be converted into the home currency, and at that point of time, because of depreciation of a particular subsidiaries books of accounts, the company's consolidated accounting ratios, the consolidated performance, it may get affected. So in order to look at that situation, we said that we can have, at least for the asset and liability accounts, we can have a foreign exchange revaluation reserve kind of an account where all the appreciation and depreciation with respect to foreign exchange can be separately booked, so that we're able to understand about a company's performance and the impact of the foreign exchange exposure on that. But with respect to the sales and the cost items, we said that it is like on a routine basis, whatever are the exchange related losses or profits, they have to be booked in that particular year only. We were also discussing about transaction exposure, and I discussed with you that transaction exposure is a situation when you have either imported something, or you've exported something, or you've taken a loan, or you have given some amount as a loan to a foreign country, and you are expecting the return of money, or you're expecting a payment of funds. And in that situation, because of conversion, because of foreign exchange fluctuations, what kind of an impact can you have, and how are we going to manage that kind of an exposure? The third kind of exposure that can impact my balance sheet, or that can impact my business decisions, is the economic exposure. This is with respect to when we do the on the present value of future cash flows analysis, when we try to value a particular proposal, when we try to decide on an investment proposal, at that point of time we do certain discounting based upon future cash flows. But if the foreign currency fluctuation is going to be there, definitely my future cash flows are going to be impacted, and the impact of that impact on those kinds of cash flows is looked at by the economic exposure. So we would be discussing about these three exposures. Translation exposure I had discussed with you in the last class only. We also started with transaction exposure in the last class, and I also gave you an example of one company, which was where we tried to find out the three different approaches. We said that in case of a particular transaction, how should we hedge that particular transaction risk, whether we should go for an option, whether we should go for a forward cover, or should we go for the money market protection. So that is what we discussed in the last class. Now coming to another, as I said, today I would be discussing some more examples with you so that the concepts become clearer. So let us start with one more example here. Ankush Limited has a plan to raise an amount of rupees 50 crore for a period of 3 months, 6 months from now. So after 6 months, Ankush Limited wants to raise, that means wants to collect 50 crore rupees for a period of 3 months. So after 6 months from today, the company would be requiring 50 crore rupees for a period of 3 months. The current rate of interest is 9%, but you have to borrow after 6 months. The current rate of interest is 9%, but the company has to borrow after 6 months, and company is not very sure as to what is going to be the level of interest rate at that particular point of time. So company wants to hedge itself against the increase in the interest rate. Now this is not exactly a foreign exchange affair, but these kinds of things, these are part of hedging only. So the company does not know that how should it hedge itself, so that the company is not required to pay a higher rate of interest after 6 months, basically because the company might be having a very low level of margin, and if the interest rates go against the interest of the company, it would be very difficult for the company to maintain its profitability. So the company thought of entering into a forward rate agreement, as we discussed in case of derivatives, that you can enter into a contract where you can say that the transaction would get settled after 6 months. So that kind of a forward rate agreement the company wants to enter into. Bank of India has quoted a forward rate agreement at 9.1% per annum. Now, what does this mean? Bank of India has said that okay, we would be giving you a rate, we would be ready to give you loan at the rate of 9.1% per annum. Now, when we talk about forward rate agreement, we also discuss that these agreements can be cash settled. These agreements can be cash settled or they can be physically settled, and we discussed that in most of the situations they're cash settled. That means that after 6 months, if the rate of interest in the market would be say 9.2%, then Bank of India will give 0.1% to Ankush Limited. And if the rate of interest would be 9%, then Ankush Limited will give 1%, will give 0.1% to Bank of India. This is something that we discussed in derivatives. Is that clear? Do you remember this? This is something that we discussed in derivatives. I hope you remember. I'm not getting. Yeah. So what we have to see is that if Ankush Limited enters into this contract with Bank of India for of a FRA at 9.1% per annum, you have to find out the effect of this FRA and actual interest cost to Ankush Limited if the actual rate after 6 months happens to be 9.5% or 8.5%. Now, if the actual rate of interest would be 9.5%, then Bank of India would pay to Ankush Limited 0.4%, isn't it? So, if the actual rate of interest would be 9.5%, then Bank of India shall pay a differential of 0.4%, 0.4% for a period of 3 months, because the loan was supposed to be for a period of 3 months. So, on 50 crore rupees, which is your underlying amount, on that 0.4% for a period of 3 months would be 5 lakh rupees. This will be paid upfront by Bank of India to Ankush Limited, 5 lakh rupees. Now Ankush Limited is required to take a loan for a period of 3 months. So that means whatever amount, like 50 crores, when whosoever will give it to Ankush Limited would be required to repay the loan after a period of 3 months, right? So what will Ankush Limited do? Ankush Limited will invest this 5 lakh rupees, because right now, it does not, it is getting 50 crores from somebody else. So it will invest this 5 lakh rupees for a period of 3 months at the rate of 9.5%, right? So 5 lakhs multiplied by 1.095 divided by 4, that gives you 5 lakh 11,875. This is the amount that Ankush Limited will have at the time of repayment of loan. Now, at the end of the borrowing period, Ankush Limited would be required to pay 9.5% interest on 50 crores to the lender. So it will pay 1 lakh, the amount of interest would be 1 lakh 18,000, 1 crore 18 lakhs 75,000 rupees. Out of this 5 lakh 11,000, it is like 5 lakhs it received from Bank of India, and 11,875 is the interest on that 5 lakhs that it has invested for a period of 3 months. So we will reduce this amount. So that is 1 crore 13 lakh 63,125. This is the total amount, that is a net cost to Ankush Limited, not to XYZ. XYZ is a mistake here. So this 1 crore 13 lakh 63,125 is equal to 9.1%. Yeah, 0.25 is equal to 3 by 12. Yes. So this is equal to, so if we take this cost, which is the net interest cost which Ankush Limited is required to pay, it is equals to 9.1% for a period of 3 months. So ultimately, by entering into this forward rate agreement, Ankush Limited has blocked its rate at 9.1%. But what if the market rate of interest is 8.5%? If market rate of interest would have been 8.5% and Ankush Limited has entered into a forward rate agreement with Bank of India, in that situation, Ankush Limited would be required to pay to the bank 0.6%, right? 0.6% of what? 0.6% of 50 lakhs, of 50 crores. Of 50 crores, it will pay 0.6% for a period of 3 months. That would be 7,50,000. Now it will borrow from the market at 8.5%, and the amount of interest would be 1 crore 6 lakhs 25,000. and add to it this 7,50,000 which it has paid to Bank of India. Again, the cost is coming as 1 crore 13,75,000, which is 9.1% of the total funds. So here what we want to say is that, the borrowing cost in all situations is equals to 1 crore 13,75,000. So that is the beauty of entering into a forward rate agreement, that you are able to close your future cost, and thereby you can have a very good sleep at the night, that okay, now if Ankush Limited say margin is 0.5%, it knows that I have estimated the current market interest rate is 9%. Okay, I'm ready to take 0.1% extra, and I will have a margin of 0.4%. So that ways it is safe. It has hedged itself against any kind of movement of interest rates, whether it goes up or it goes down. Is the point clear? How does now this also this kind of a calculation would also give you an answer to the question which I had given you in the exam preparatory, where we said that in the forward or in the futures market, the payoffs are linear in nature. So that means that you can have once it is freeze at 9.1%, you can have unlimited profits, because if the rate of interest goes to 9.5, 9.7, 10, 12, 13, 14, whichever way the rate of interest goes, you will always have profits. And on the other side, whichever way it goes down, again you're going to have losses. So that means whatever are the payoffs, they're going to be linear in nature. So can I move to the next question? Any doubts on the previous question? Any questions? Any doubts? Seems that there are no questions. Okay. So we move to the next question. This is again a very interesting question. Queen Limited, an Indian company, has an export exposure of 100 lakh yens value at September end. So the company has got an export exposure of 100 lakh yens at the end of September. That means that it has when today we are in the September end, and the company has to receive 100 lakh yen from some party. Yen is not directly quoted against the rupee. So we discussed about the cross rates in the last class. The current spot rates are INR to USD 62.685. That means now here, if I look at the rates, that means that 62.685 rupees are required to buy $1, and the rate for Japanese yen to USD is 194.625. So 194.625 Japanese yen per $1, right? Now, what we want the rate is, we want the rate between INR and yen. That rate is directly not, the direct quote is not available. We've got an indirect quote, INR to USD and Japanese yen to USD. Now, both of them are quoted in USD. So, one of the two has to be like, we discussed about cross rates, where we said that we will have to convert the equation in a manner INR to USD and USD to JPY. This can be done by writing, USD to JPY is equals to 1 divided by 194.625, isn't it? 1 divided by 194.625, so that we are able to easily calculate the cross rates. It is estimated. Now, coming to the problem, that was about the cross rates only. So, we can find out the current spot rate between INR and yen by doing the cross rate calculations. Now, it is estimated that yen will depreciate to 216 level as against the dollar. It is estimated that yen will depreciate to 216, and if the yen will depreciate, I have to receive in terms of yen, so I will have some problem. So I need to understand that yen will depreciate to 216 level, and rupee to depreciate against dollar to 64.50. Now rupee will also depreciate, yen will also depreciate. So based upon estimates, what is the amount of money that I can receive? That is what I need to understand. Forward rate for September 2013 was, now before I go further in this particular question, I want you all to write down these rates, because otherwise you will get confused. So what all rates you need to note down? You need to note down that what is the spot rate. Spot rate is 62.685 INR USD and 194.625 JPY USD. Okay, this is one rate that is available to us. Then we have an estimated rate. Estimated rate is given to us as yen will be at 216 level and rupee would be at 64.50 level. Okay, then forward rate has also been given to us. Then the forward rate for September 2013, okay, will be Japanese yen to USD is 206.025 and INR USD is 64.335. Now, 0.32.20 is the current rate. Okay, good. So this, what is this 0.32.20? That means 1 rupee is equal to 0.3220 yen. That is what you want to say, Damanjeet, right? Okay. So you can say that 1 rupee is equals to 0.3220 yen. I think that should be the correct calculation. Based on that, you can also calculate the estimated rate. You can also calculate the forward rate. And you can also calculate the spot after 1 year, that or maybe whatever time, spot on 30th September 2013, when actually the payment has to come. So on that date, we have been given that INR to USD is 64.17 and yen to USD is 206.775. Right. So we've got four kinds of rates. And what we need to do, first of all, let us find out these four kinds of rates between rupee and yen. Yeah, am I audible again? Can you hear me? Yeah. So Damanjeet says the forward rate is coming as 31.226. Okay. So let us check whether the calculations are correct or not. Now we can calculate that the exchange rate between INR to JPY should be equals to INR to USD multiplied by USD to JPY. Right. So USD to JPY directly is not given to us. So we write 1 divided by 194.625 as USD to JPY. So based on this calculation, we have calculated the spot rate to be 32.21. 32.21. So at present the rate is 32.21. So if I have to receive how many yen I was supposed to receive? 100 lakh. Okay. So if I have to receive 100 lakh yen, so at the current rates the amount would be 32 lakhs 21,000. Amount would be 32 lakhs 21,000. If I look at the estimated or the expected rate, if I do the calculations on estimated or expected rate, the amount is coming as 29.86. So based on the current estimates and the depreciation which is expected, based on that, the amount that I can receive is 29 lakhs 86,000, which means that there is going to be there's an expected loss of 2 lakh 35,000. There is because the present rate is 32 lakhs 21,000 and based on expectations the rate is going to be 29 lakhs 86,000. So I will have a loss of 2 lakh 35,000, which is not a good idea. So in this situation, if I decide to take a forward rate is coming as 31.23, right? So if I close my transaction as at 31 lakhs 23,000, and this is in between 29.86 and 32.21 and very close to 32.21, so I think it should be a good idea. But let us compare that what actually happened. Actually on September 30th 2013, if I look at the rates, it is 31 lakhs 3,000. So 31 lakh 3,000 is anywhere less than 31 lakh 23,000. So in this particular deal, the businessman has made a profit by entering into a forward cover of rupees 1 lakh 18,000. of rupees, no, it says less, एक second, 3123 minus 32.21. Okay, so that I think that kind of a calculation is okay, that by taking a forward cover, I have already booked a loss of 98,000, basically because I am expecting the market to depreciate, and in any ways I cannot get my money right now, so that ways 98,000 loss I generally have to book. Now I have entered into a transaction where I am going to get 31 lakh 23,000. Compare it with the market rate of 31 lakh 3,000. I'm going to get 3123, and the market rate is 3103. So if I compare that, then in that situation I'm in a profit. I'm in a profitable situation. If I would not have taken the forward cover, I would have had a loss of 1 lakh 18,000. Now my loss is just 98,000. So in that situation, I have been able to make a profit of 20,000. That is what we want to say. By taking this forward cover, the loss has been reduced from 1,18,000 to 98,000. Any doubts? In these kinds of questions, it is more important to understand the question rather than the solution, because the solution is not something which is very difficult, but it's the technical language of the question which takes some time to register, isn't it? So just read the question carefully, what exactly that question wants to say. If you would have practiced some of the questions, it will become easier for you to understand the question, and then you would be able to solve it in an easier manner. Any doubts?